Hey, hello again. So here I am live, and I guess I should just say, I guess that was Sunday. I mean, a little bit yesterday. Like, oh man, my technical difficulties. Ugh, absolutely frustrating. So, what I think I'm gonna do probably today and like the next few days, because I'm actually planning on going out of the country, getting a little bit of island vibes, man, and I'm trying to decide how this is going to work with me, like, doing a few videos, going live, this, that, and the third. So I say that a lot now. This, that, and the third. Rolls off the tongue so well. Bah. I don't know, but let me just see. Are you seeing? Can you see what I see? Mm, yes, I think you can. So tonight, I just wanted, and I think over the next few days, I just want to come do a video or two, keep it really brief. Like I think I kind of laid out the like SSS plan, single serving subject, where I just stay monomaniacally focused on one thing and just go into that and let a few other little side waves, side tangents kind of, you know, find their way into what I'm talking about, but just kind of leave things there. So tonight, again, going back to, wait a second. I have not been. Oh, here I am. I am on the page. Okay, so this is. Ooh, it's like we're watching myself on this delay, like kind of moving around and moving about. Sorry. Um, so this is episode 1 of Blogs I Frolic With. I think you can kind of get like the little wordplay that I was aiming for. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't you know? Don't you know? Man, like look at everything just kind of going in that little Russian doll egg thing inside. Ugh, creepy. Anyway, so I just want to focus on one subject tonight, and this is, well, hopefully, I think I left things down in the comment section. I totally did. Aryan Skynet, which is probably one of my favorite blogs, and also a hat tip to Hipster Racist. Let me just, I don't think I have it open yet. I'll move over to him as well. He was on Twitter for a bit, but then he got banned, blocked off of it. So I can't really, besides here on his WordPress site, Hipster Racist, you can find him there. Actually, I think I started going into the story a little bit. Whites offended at Yellow Fever restaurant opening at Whole Foods. Um, just a bunch of like really cool little articles, little, fun moments. I guess I'm just moving through, scrolling through, even though you can always do the same thing. And so, but the primary focus is this piece that appeared on Aryan Skynet. Do we have a date here someplace? Oh, these are comments from like 2015. I didn't realize that's how old it was. But anyway, so I think what I'm just going to do is move through the article, just reading it aloud. And I'll keep an eye on the comments, see if anyone's here or there, anybody's out in these streets tonight. Let me just close that because I'm done with that for now. Okay, so Candyman was a 1992 horror movie, and what I kind of loosely referenced was that there was this kind of little interesting period, and I know I'm probably missing a lot of this, of kind of like 90s horror movies. So besides this one, Tales from the Hood was like another movie kind of like right around this. No, I think Tales from the Hood came out in the 1995. There we go. So this is about 5 years after. And I remember I was watching this at someone's house like back in the day. I got like freaked out. It scared the crap out of me. I've never been like a horror movie person ever. Ugh, Jamie Foxx. Yuck. Thank you. So this is kind of like in that kind of seer. This one is that was just an interview with her, the main woman in the film. So we'll just read through, and I think let me just scroll ahead to see if I want to pull this. Yeah, the trailer. Okay. So we'll just read. We'll watch the trailer. We'll read through the article, and there's a comment because you can see in the title that I think that this is one of the best answers to the race mixing question, especially as far as like the right, the alt right, all those circles go. And I mean, there's just a lot of like great, like I'll find myself anytime I read a blog, like a blog piece here on. Oop, that's my desk. Sorry. Anything I ever read on this on Aryan Skynet, I'm always looking for hipster racist comments because I think he's just like golden. He's called everything before everyone else has, and I'm always just really yeah impressed with just how honest, open, and direct he is. Um, I'll probably have more time to kind of pull out some great examples of how awesome I think Hipster Racist is. So let me just start and let's just dig into the piece here. Let me just double check, make sure we all are on the same page. Yep. Okay. Bernard Rose's worthwhile horror movie Candyman, 1992, adapted from a short story by Clive Barker, is an intriguing case of a film that set out to be one thing, but comes across in the finished product as having entirely different intentions. The filmmakers had egalitarian motives, hoping to promote miscegenation and guilt over America's structural inequality and lynch mobbing legacy of hate. But Candyman is just as entertaining and resonant for race realists as it is for dupes, inadvertently conveying hideous notions about Congoys as well as the white women who pursue them. That's Candyman director Bernard Rose. The de rigueur horror movie prologue establishes both the mythos and the titular boogie and the sex appeal of bad boy type, which will be more fully developed once the audience meets protagonist Helen, a sheltered academic doing research into urban legends. Helen is one of those white women whose self-loathing notions of progress involves half-hearted shows of solidarity with those less fortunate than herself, particularly when they are non-white, all while maintaining her own distant, privileged standard of living. Her friendship with token college mulatto Bernie, Cassie Lemons, being her sole concession to her own expectation that she ought to associate with them as her equals. So we'll just pause here and watch the trailer to the film itself. I haven't watched this in quite a bit since I revisited this article, so we'll be watching this together.
Have you ever heard of Candyman? If you look in the mirror, you say his name 5 times.
Try star, baby.
Candyman. They whisper his name.
Right. Candyman.
It's just a story. Candyman.
Candyman.
Just a ghost story.
Candyman. An entire community starts attributing the daily horrors of their lives to a mythical figure.
The legend first appeared in 1890. He was attacked, mutilated, and burned to death. Poor Candyman.
Helen, a woman died and they'll leave it.
Everyone knows he isn't real.
That's modern oral folklore.
Everyone. Except Helen Lyle.
It ain't safe around here. That ain't scared too easy. You don't know about Lucy Jean? They ain't never gonna catch him. Who? Candyman. Who is that?
I came for you.
Do I know you?
Now she is about to discover.
Helen? Get out! Get out!
What's behind the mystery?
I'm sick.
What's behind the legend?
Listen, he's under the bed!
And most terrifying of all,
Come with me.
what's behind the mirror?
He's here.
Candyman, you don't have to believe. Just beware.
Ooh, scary. All right, let's just keep moving through the article. This changes, however, as Helen continues to delve further into the mystery of Candyman. Night of the Living Dead's Tony Todd, a legendary murderer reputed to haunt a Chicago housing project called Cabrini Green. After learning a few further details about the phantom of the ghetto from a cleaning lady, her only contact with the world of real blacks, Helen is sufficiently aroused that she decides to do a little on-the-scene investigation and first-hand anthropological research in the ominous, gang-dominated tenement of horrors. The idea of a supernatural African serial killer excites her, and to the extent that Candyman reinforces the Hebrew myth of the beautiful blonde sophisticate's secret wish to be ravaged by thuggish blacks, the film respects the politically correct orthodoxies. The Helen character is a latent mud shark, clearly attracted to the hypnotic and Dracula-like mojo of the Candyman. The cast and crew commentary track provides some insights into the thought processes lurking behind the lurid premise. His attack is openly sexual, says director Bernard Rose. He has basically this sort of huge cock in his hand, and he kills people by sticking it in them, in their orifices. That's part of the appeal of the movie. I think that's partly why people like it. Rose may even reveal a hint of his own arousal by the character with his inclusion of the scene in which a Jewish-looking psychiatrist, Stanley DeSantis, whimpers that he is abruptly punctured and replumbed from behind by the Phantom's big black hook. Rose also puts the movie into a Gothic historical context. People are frightened of the wrong part of town. That fear is very real, and the fact that it's in reality, unfounded, makes it more interesting, not less, because an irrational fear, in a sense, is the very fundamental building block of racism. And I think that the film, in a sense, then became a kind of rather subtle way of actually exploring what is really the dark heart of American history, which is a country built on slavery. A few minutes later, however, Rose goes on to contradict his own assertion that fear of the wrong part of town is, in reality, unfounded when he fumbles through a discussion of the film's location shooting in one of Chicago's most crime-infested neighborhoods. Cabrini Green is a real housing project south of downtown Chicago, just by the Gold Coast, where there had been, the place had become really suffered from the most extreme kind of urban blight, and you had large numbers of people housing there who were living in pretty appalling conditions. There were gangs in the neighborhood that would essentially make it unpoliceable. It was a dangerous place. It was a place where people would get shot for no good reason. The movie itself gives the lie to Rose's unfounded remark when Helen, idiotically throwing caution to the wind, ventures into the netherworld by herself to explore the site of a gruesome Candyman attack that appears to have occurred in a public men's restroom. Here, Helen reveals herself to be not merely a mud shark, but a full-blown scatopathological shit shark, simultaneously repulsed and allured by the feces-smeared walls of the shrine of the inner-city Chicago vibrancy. Although almost overpowered by the stench of the place, she feels compelled to peek into each of the stalls, but is suddenly accosted, no doubt to her great excitement, by a gang of blacks who object to her being there. One of them, impersonating Candyman, whacks a hook across her face, knocking her out and nearly blinding her. Fortunately, mixed-race actress Cassie Lemons chimes in during the commentary track with a rationalization that twists all this into a commentary on societal, i.e. white, racism. The Candyman is born of extreme racism against him, so he takes kind of that hatred and it's become a part of this monstrousness. And so I guess that's saying that we, i.e. members of the audience, are breeding monsters. We are making monsters by our, i.e. white America's past hatred, and we're, i.e. whites, and we're, i.e. whites, are responsible. We're responsible for the Candyman. We're responsible for the monsters that we create. Helen, a liberal shit shark who feels conflicted at encountering such an obvious display of African savagery, can console herself based on the above societal monster creation thesis that she and not her attackers is to blame for what has occurred because she is the one who created them. Helen is given the chance to live out the fantasy of herself as monster when she finds herself suspected in a series of bloody murders. On the surface, this is a story of a woman who finds herself wrongly accused, and this is a position that actress Virginia Madsen takes as she confides during the commentary. But on another level, Candyman can be read as the subjective account of an insane person who blacks out, no pun intended, and goes berserk with no memory of her reprehensible actions. According to the latter interpretation, the Candyman is a figment of the protagonist's imagination, and all the acts committed by him on screen are in actuality Helen's doing. There is, furthermore, a motivation for Helen if one chooses to pin these atrocities on her. She has earlier admired a black woman's baby, a baby later abducted putatively by the Candyman. The subtext here is that Helen is such a depraved shit shark that she would not only fuck, but would actually kill to acquire a congoloid of her own, and does. Racist viewers, and one has to imagine blacks as well, can at least console themselves with the indignities Candyman sadistically visits on Helen throughout her story. The climatic sequence, for instance, finds her crawling around on the ground like a worm to escape a bonfire that scorches her hair off. There is truly a ring of poetic justice in the sickening vision of an Aryan woman deprived of her beautiful blonde hair as punishment for her race treachery. Candyman's kiss, furthermore, when Helen is pleased to finally receive it, is a torture as best pour out of his mouth as beast. Excuse me. There's truly a ring of poetic justice in this sickening vision of an Aryan woman deprived of her beautiful blonde head of hair as punishment for her race treachery. Candyman's kiss, furthermore, when Helen is pleased to finally receive it, is a torture as bees pour out of his mouth to sting in retribution for racism past. It is the kiss of death. And notwithstanding the movie's stated anti-racist intentions, its grotesque depiction of a representative shit shark as a knife-wielding, infant-pilfering, stall-peeping, and amnesia-prone madwoman can hardly have been the public image Coldenho Caligari had in mind for the recruitment of the mothers of his future race of mongrel Jew worshippers. Those really murdered by the miscegenators, of course, are their own unborn posterity of European racial integrity. But luckily, not much of the typical mud shark squandered genetic material is in the same league as that on display in the person of Candyman Enamorada Virginia Madsen. So actually, I should clarify this very quickly and very distinctly here, that this was not a piece that Hipster Racist wrote. There's a comment that he leaves below that I'm actually going to read. But this is actually, if I goof this up, forgive me, Rainier Chaldwick Von Kook, who I follow on Twitter, and who is really, let me see, at icareviews.wordpress. So I have to definitely clarify that, and let's just go over to his site right now, because he actually wrote this film review, and he actually has a book. Let's see, because the way that the posts are outlaid here on Aryan Skynet, I'd have to go find it and pull it, and I can't remember exactly which blog piece they left it in, so maybe I'll circle back at the end about that specifically. But let's see, Hollywood, it might be in one of the tags. But so basically, iCareViews, also known as, scooch in, Rainier Chaldwick Von Kook wrote this review of the film here. And I've been reading Aryan Skynet for probably years on and off, and I was I've always just really impressed with like the work that they put out here, and I was very surprised because I actually remember watching this movie at least loosely back in the 90s. So this came out in 1992. Oh man, I was in kindergarten when this came out. So I probably saw this like maybe a few years later, like on Cinemax when I was like a kid, or HBO or Showtime or something. So it was kind of cool to watch, to read this all these years later. quick pause. Oh, sweet. I gotta get upvote. So I guess what I should just do is just in summary. This is definitely a way I would not have read this film, but imagine if I watched it now, all these years later, within the context of this review, be able to see these themes, these elements that he's lifting from this film, and then just briefly rewatching the trailer, as we just did previously, that there are those underlying sentiments. Let's see. So it ends up, the comments kind of end up really centering on like the mud sharkery angle that that are kind of like left in the review itself. So we're kind of honing in here, right here on Hipster Racist comments about the film, and there were already some other preceding comments that kind of get the whole race mixing mud shark question kind of under review. So what I think I'm going to do here is just read through the comment, because this is key. It's probably like the best thing that I've ever seen written down, and I've been very impressed with, because it just says so much. And I had this like bookmark because I think it's super awesome and it just says so much. So let me just jump into the comment. We're going to walk through this, and again, so now this is a comment from Hipster Racist, who also has his own blog that is definitely worthy of watching and definitely worthy of a mention. So let's just dip through the comment. I'm going to read it in full in one fell swoop, and then we'll just kind of move through a few pieces that I want to pull out and go through. So, oh, here it is. So let me shill for someone who deserves it. Now, I have not purchased it yet, but I am actually looking very forward to doing so. I wish if I could do it on screen without, like, doxing my, like, credit card or something, I totally would. But so, if you really enjoyed that review of Candyman, you can go over to Aryan Skynet and follow the link for his book, Protocols of the Elders of Xanax, Psychological Warfare and Filth at the Movies. So 5 years into making, this book is the definitive alt-right statement on Hollywood, covering every topic from the glorification of war and the lionization of magic blacks to deep state plots and degenerate sexual practices in America's movie capital. From Soylent Green to Swordfish, from Heathers to Hellraiser. Bloodline. This work contains my most radical, never-before-published reinterpretations of cinema, both low and highbrow, familiar and obscure. This book also constitutes a provocative contribution to the field of 9/11 studies and should be regarded as mandatory reading for every conspiracy buff. Here's a glimpse of what you get. Here's the front cover, and so here's even like the table of contents. So another reason I'm glad I came back around through. So if you like this video, you should go over to AryanSkynet.wordpress.com and you should buy his book, and Protocols of the Elders of Xanax, Psychological Warfare and Filth at the Movies. I know that the Candyman is just kind of a brief little snippet of probably what to expect. That type of, again, like as he says, the definitive alt-right statement on Hollywood. So if you like that, you should be. If you like the Candyman review, I could see definitely reading some more reviews in that kind of line of thought. But anyway, let me move back over to the central point here. Oh, there's Hipster Racist again. And I'm just going to hit a little stop here so it stops spinning. There we go, a little freeze frame. All right, so this is like one of the comments, and I guess after I read it, or as I read it, you'll see why I've decided to isolate this as just as important as the review itself of the movie Candyman. Is just a dialogue in the comment section here, laid out by Hipster Racist, is really important and really key. So Miscegenation is the most natural thing in the world. Our European ancestors seem to have actually mated with Neanderthals. White men quite often look with disgust at mud sharks, but you shouldn't hear what white women say about white men with dragon lady Asian wives. A black man can have all the necessary masculine characteristics to sexually arouse a white woman. Some Southern partisans like to deny it, but Southern white men spend generations helping themselves to the prettiest black slave girls. This is why sexual arguments are losers for a pro white movement. Once you start making sexual rules, you have to keep going, and it will always inevitably lead to something that a hardcore Catholic lady would be uncomfortable with. And it's always going to end with crazy nuts like the guy who tried to discredit the NPI conference demanding stoning people for sexual crimes. Okay. No miscegenation, virgin marriages, no divorce, adultery gets a death penalty, ban pornography, boys jerking off get punished. Of course, homosexuality is out, so your gay boys decide to join the priesthood and be celibate. And look how that turns out. White people tend to be the least ethnocentric people on the planet. My speculation is that it's something to do with recessive traits. Anytime you have a multiracial society, you're going to have miscegenation. Anytime you have race A in the dominant position over race B, you're going to have men of race A poaching the women of race B, a development that will be welcomed by many women of race B precisely because of that power differential. You will also have women of race A mating down with the men of race B, also precisely because of the power differential. When you have whites and blacks living together, there will always be miscegenation. That's precisely why the South has so many strict rules about miscegenation and why those rules were really only enforced on white women, black men pairings and completely and hypocritically overlooked with white men, black women pairings. The solution isn't to demonize miscegenators. We don't have control of the culture, thus we don't have the power to do that anyway. The solution is white nationalism, a nation of our own, by and for white people. So there's a little subnote that kind of explains his next part. A poor family background and bad education might predispose her to such behavior. How does that explain highly intelligent, upper-class white women who mud shark? I suspect there are regional differences too. Someone living in the Midwest might only see a mass of ghetto blacks. I worked with a handful of creme de la creme of black people, white presenting, intelligent, attractive. Sexual attraction isn't rational. It's not something cerebral. Women and men make stupid decisions regarding sex all the time. There's also the appeal of forbidden fruit, which is a common human urge. Another little subnote: women and girls still need to be shamed and made aware of consequences of stupid behavior. It's just like all other kinds of sexual morality. On an individual and family level, church is the proper place for enforcing sexual morality. You can shame your daughters and you can make the women in your family aware of the consequences. But white men bitching about mud sharks just comes across as sour grapes. Ask white women how much luck they have shaming a successful white man for yellow fever. Hell, yellow fever is acceptable in Ameren. I'm not interested in making judgments about other people's sex lives. What I'm interested in doing is defaming the word racist, which is just a racial slur for white people, and making it legitimate for white people to act in their own interests. If some white women somewhere wants to have little mulatto children, it has nothing to do with me. There have always been and there always will be whites that go native. They separate themselves from the white tribe and they join the other tribe. Demonizing other races is exactly what they want us to do because it's a losing strategy. We win when we have the moral high ground. I'm not a pro-white because black people are bad. It wouldn't make any difference to me if Asians were proven to be superior to white people in every way. It makes no difference to me that Ashkenazi Jews have higher IQs than a lot of white people. I'm pro-white because I'm white and my family is white. I'm pro-white because white people are my people. It has nothing to do with how superior or inferior other races are. Only we can be us. So there's like a couple of back and forth amongst this, but I just found that I remember reading this this came out in 2015, but I definitely wasn't reading this blog in that year. I think I probably found it maybe a year or so later, and I went back as far as I could to read every single blog piece here on this site, and I'd already seen Hipster Racist kind of around and about in a lot of different circles, and just really fell in love. I think this one comment covers so many arenas, and I find myself basically being probably very close to 100% on everything that he's stating. But then I think the only departure is I probably have certain caveats to add as a Black woman specifically to his comment. And in my perspective, just taking everything he's saying here verbatim would kind of circle back around to some specific observations that I may add just as a Black woman in particular. So, pause, water break. H2O. So I'm just going to go through and just move through a few points that he made and just kind of maybe lift a little bit out that I may want to flesh out or tease out and just kind of leave that there. So actually it's funny. I was tonight on Miss Archduchess' live stream about the whole Issa Rae comment controversy. Oh my God. It was so funny. I hate watching the Yvette Carnell video today talking about this, and even in Tone Talks, who's like the Black guy who kind of hangs out with her. And it was really funny. So like that's kind of where I was before I came over, got home to do this for myself on my channel. And it's so funny. So like just this first part of the comment, white men quite often look with disgust at mud sharks, but you should hear what white women have to say about white men with dragon lady Asian wives. So just this is something that I've always had something to say about, particularly Sunday. I think that was maybe a missed moment, but again, like I was moving way too quickly through just being on someone else's live stream, and again, like I just maybe half an hour ago got through dropping a link to Sunday and talking with a few Black women, like, hey. Well, not really talking with. I just made this little prepackaged paragraph with a link and a few points I wanted some of the women Black women that I follow to like look at, because this is actually here in Hipster Racist comment something I want to address, because this is one thing that I would have me consider some of the things I said Sunday that I would love to unpack a little bit more. So when you talk about not too many, but enough alt-righters, this is the conclusion I've come to. Oh, more often than not, and I could be wrong, but I think that 5+ years in these streets with them has given me this conclusion. It's not so much that they care just about the race mixing. It's more about who's doing the mixing. If you're some of the higher races mixing with someone that's distinctly racially different, but also part of one of like the kind of higher races. I think the John Derbyshire Ice people versus Sun people characterization kind of fits there. So like the white Asian mixing is fine, quote unquote, because they're more comparable in terms of being very different, but rather similar ice people. So what he's saying right here, like, and it's funny. There's a movie from like the 90's called The First Wives Club, and I think it's like Bette Midler, Diane Keaton, and Goldie Hawn are like these 40, 50 something year old white women, and they're all getting divorced because they're white husbands. And it's funny looking back on that movie. I think it was also like kind of like with Clueless. I didn't realize they were also very much talking about a certain type of Jewish identity. But you know, when you don't know any better, know anything different, you just assume. Like I think I said this. Like I just always assumed white people were just Jews with like funny hats or like a funny religion or something. I didn't understand any other type of distinction beyond that. So now, even more in retrospect, considering some of the parentage and makeup of the people in that film, that actually was probably a little bit more, a part of it than anything. Anyway, so these women are being divorced so that, like, because Sarah Jessica Parker must have been in her, like, late 20s, early 30s in this film. I think Bette Midler's husband is, like, divorcing her to remarry her. So the funny thing is, you hear so many, why I'm saying is I need to look for something real quick because I've been wanting to do this forever. And people that I'm trying to do in the comment section. So when you hear so much of this, like, oh, okay, this is, I'm just gonna give a very broad stroke of what I'm trying to suggest here. Oh, hell yeah, she's still here. Oh, she's still not commenting that much or writing that much. Oh man, This is like a white woman who like gave me like a lot to think about. I have to, oh, I wasn't sure how much of her blog was still visible. I'm gonna take a quick pause to say, and I know she kind of goes private a lot more, but when she had everything kind of open, this woman, this white woman who, man, I can't tell you how much Orwell's daughter like means to me. It was like a mind blowing experience to read through this blog. And a white woman who's very race realist, who, and it's where like, another feminist word gets thrown around in so many different ways. But I'm gonna get sidetracked. But just as I was saying this, because she's definitely talked about the white man Asian woman mixing. So let me just go back to my original point. I just wanted to, while I was thinking that, I made me to look her up and see if her blog was still here. It is, and I wonder what's still available. Maybe I'll just do a video about Orwell's daughter and just tell you like the mind trip that this gave me. So let's just walk it back to the comment. Let me pick up where I left off. So you hear so much, particularly the alt-right, all like even like Pill Eater, who I said in the comment section I was listening to earlier while I was like getting ready to like make this video. It's so, hey email, what's up? The funniest thing is like there's all this thing about race mixing. And again, I don't really think that half the time the alt-right, if they're honest with themselves, which a lot of them aren't. This is gonna be great. I can finally get into this now. They're just saying that they don't want white people mixing with N-words. And sometimes I get overly conscious, like, do I want to drop the full N-word, like the full Monty over here or not? I know some people don't. Sometimes I feel like I have a reason not to, just because I don't want to like have it be so common. But anyway, so it's not necessarily about race mixing and just is being done. It's fine for white men to race mix with Asian women because of there's like a list. Like, okay, this is the general list that I've kind of ascertained over the years. Well, they're like more feminine. It's so funny. This is one part where some of these alt-right white men, they sound so much like the brothers. Well, it's okay for me to mix with white women because they more feminine and they more different. And then I go over to the more alt-righty circles. Well, it's like, well, we want Asian women because white women's all hoes now, fucking niggers. And I'm like, it's so funny, like oscillating between these two different like environments. And I have to sometimes stop my head and go, God damn, this is weird. Hey. Oh, so sorry. I was gonna say hey. I'm trying to stay less tangent wise. I'm gonna like come through. I think I will definitely have some questions. Like this is one of my more single serving subjects that's worthy of having a few questions to ask or to answer. So, okay. So what he's suggesting there. Let me. I'm gonna keep going in and out. Okay. So you should hear what white women have to say what white men would dragon lady wives. Man, I would love to hear that because this is something like actually, there was a great thread on Facebook today by this black woman, Brianna Nouveau. She just drops like these really like critical like posts on Facebook that you're just like, as a black woman, like, whoa, I hadn't thought of it this way. Because she basically, it was a discussion that started someplace else, but it slowly evolved into there's a lot of these race mixing or interracial sites where black women, even though on YouTube, I'm just going to type in a few into the comment section just so they're here for posterity while I'm saying this, that you can find, let's see, Jamie and Nikki. Now, the other people got divorced. So, I guess I can link them just as a whatever, so there's Gabe and Babe. They're not divorced, but they had the big Walmart ad. They had a Walmart ad. They were like, they have like a son. They're a black woman, white man, mixed race family. No, I'm saying spelling is wrong, but Maisley. It was speaking of the whole Issa Rae controversy this past few days. It's funny. So like she was basically saying, yes, but the problem to a certain degree is, there'll be white men even when you get over to like the 1488 side, where you'll find circles where some of them are like, oh, we're race mixed with these Asians because they're a better suit. But it's problematic for black women to be the ones creating these sites and these like threads and scenes because the way that just the nature of men versus women works comparatively, where a man should be uplifting you. You shouldn't be the one kind of like pulling together clips and pictures saying, look at us, we're doing blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm kind of like going a little too off of like, again, it's supposed to be a single serving episode, not a full hour of me live streaming. Let me just back that up. But in closing, what I'm trying to suggest here, just pulling this comment apart, is my key thing with the alt-right, when it's funny, people call people degenerate race mixers. Now you have points. And this is the funny thing. This is why I think I kind of belong in terms of like having these discussions. And I would like to have more of them with particularly, I guess, white, and then I guess Creative Sunday, white and Jewish men who feel a certain way in these circles. Because I'm really reiterating what you're saying, but I'm coming at it from a very distinct perspective of being a woman, which is and isn't in too many of these spaces, and then a black woman on top of that. I'm not trying to be like, wow, bro, wow, but I'm just saying like that adds a perspective, and then considering the wokeness that I'm a part of just becomes something else. But anyway, so I would love to hear, like, this is a conversation. I would love to have some white women reach out in these circles and tell me what they think. Because, like, I know some of you are all writer listeners. Like, I'm from Renegade Broadcasting. I'm like Sinead. People like that. And she got so much blowback. But to a certain degree, like her and women like Orwell's daughter, they're white women who are definitely not part of the scene. And they have a fuck lot of criticism. The shit that I've read women like this throw at you motherfuckers, I was like, damn, like, Chris Tucker, damn, it blew my mind. And it was really refreshing for me to like hear things from a very white woman perspective coming from these things. I was like, damn. I was like, and I keep want to go, girl, I want to find you. Like, I want to put you and Kendall St. Charles and Miss Archduchess in a room together, because I think this is a part where, one thing I'll add before I move on, and I want to stay here too long because I'm going on a tangent I didn't want to go on, is that women sometimes need to talk to women in certain spaces by ourselves, the same way that men, white in one side, black in the other, you guys need your spaces too. But there's conversations that across the black-white divide that I think women should be having, because some of our stories are matching up, and there are things that we can both be saying to each other that are of importance. But yes, I would love to hear what some have to say, because, okay, here you go. This is something I've wanted to say for a long time. I may try to walk back and put this in the comment section, put this in stream in a second. What do you hear all the comments about mud sharks, all the white women are fucking dindus, blah, 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 blah. And I think and then there's also stuff like, well, how come more white women don't come forward? This is my theory. I think there are a lot more white women lurkers in these scenes than any of the white men in the alt-right, dissident right, this right, that right. You could imagine. There was a moment, and I never thought to say this. This is probably maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I was really just getting my like feelers in like the alt-right and like the kind of race realist right. And I think I was reading stuff black people don't like. And this white woman left a comment. Again, like I always say about comment sections, you don't know who's who. People could be just faking people out, but pause, sip. It was such a lengthy comment that I had to imagine it was a genuine comment of a white woman. She didn't get very specific. She just mostly said like, hey, I dated black guys and things didn't go so well. And most people in my family were shunned me, or they were like very not cool with that. But she had some aunt or some grandmother that still like took her back in and helped her out. And then I don't know if it was the same thread or not, but some white guy was like, him and his friends are sitting around with they're all white, and one of their like white friends, husband wife couple, the woman just basically it sounds like one of those conversations. Something comes up. The way he worded it just sounds like you're sitting around drinking iced tea, hanging out on the deck, and something came up, and the conversation moved to a point where the white woman said, basically in so many words, she dated black men before, and the husband had no idea, and they're all sitting there like in their heads like, whoa, dude. So in full, I'm just saying, I think there's a lot more white women lurkers in these scenes that you'd be. So this is the theory that came with a year ago. I'm moving on the same tangent. Just bear with me. That it's not to say you don't have your hard stance against mud sharkery. Uh, Again, that implies me unpacking too much. That's a separate video. But basically saying some of the women that may come around, they probably may be some of those women. They got some mud shark sunglasses from these Dindu men, the same shit that me and black women on my side talk about more often than not, and they're looking for and they get it, and they probably find themselves on the stuff black people don't like, an Amran, uh race real stream of this or that and the third, and they're finding you folks. But the two things happen. One, whether you agree it's rightfully or wrongfully, there's all the venom towards like some mud shark. Once you go black, you're a single mom chick. A lot of that is well founded, because the funny thing is, I would love to keep expressing to most of you white men in the scene that me and the sisters, more increasingly, we tell some of these chicks in the hood, the chicks with her degree that's still having babies with these Negroes that's doing the same stuff to her. Once you keep messing with this black male who won't marry you and giving you bastard babies, and bastard babies you won't control your womb for to prevent against, that's what you get. And we don't want nothing to do with your ass either. So it's so funny. It's one of the big things the alt-writer guys, like white men, I kind of get really annoyed with. They sit around and talk and shit talk black women. Oh, you're all fat and beastie, nappy headed hooligans. And it's so funny, like, but if you keep doing that, like, I was listening to Daily Shoah like a day or two ago, and they were going in about, like, I guess Jesse was watching some like Amazon Prime show, and it's like some black woman who's kind of awkwardly paired up with some white guy, and it just sounds like some kind of programming. And it's like, yeah, you guys all sit here shit talk black women, but the funny thing is you just do the same thing black men do, and you just give them more talking points to go, see, nobody wants your ass. Like, you you're feeding back into the same guys who are already looking for every excuse they have to race mix with your women. When you, if you want to say I'm a beastie, nappy headed, hair headed hooligan, beastie bitch, Mr. Alt-Writer, I guess that's fine. I mean, what the fuck am I gonna do? But what's that? The art of war, Sun Tzu, like, use your enemy's force against them. But I just see a lot of white men in the scene just regurgitating black male talking points, all the way down to like the Negro vernacular that too much of the alt-right 4chan types use. Like, what up, fam? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, this Dindu speak exhausts me. But anywho, so just booking back, there's white women who probably show up who lurk, and that's one thing that probably skits them off. I mean, I had a theory. If you really, like, let's say there's like 10-ish white women that's gotten, well, let's say hopefully they don't have half black male babies. Let's just say they race mixed. They was mud sharks. They was mud sharking it up in this piece, boo. But they don't. Let's say, I'm just saying hypothetically, they don't have the kids as the baggage. Let's say they show up in the white nationalist scene, the ethno state. But will you at least give them something to do? You can, like, you don't have to race them. You don't have to, like, well, intro race mix with them at that point. Can they, like, shine some shoes? Can they work as, like, handmaidens? Can they, like, wash some pots and do some laundry or something? You got to give maybe white women like that who have gone over something to do, because I bet those are probably the first white women that's showing up on these scenes. But y'all just get so up in y'all ass and push them off. That comment on stuff black people don't like really shook me, because I was like, whoa. And I didn't really, now I have way more of a gravity, like, it's not a phrasing, sorry. I have a lot more understanding of her being revolutionary, since, I mean, as an anonymous person in the comment section to say that, because it hit me like there's probably thousands of white women who circle around this scene, but they have been that, and they're here because they burned the coal, they done paid the toll, now they over here, and then it's all this like rah, 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 rah. But worse than that, now you can shade women, because sometimes, yeah, shaming does work, and it can in a lot of ways. The other half of that, this is the big key thing here, and I'm gonna take a break and go back over the comment section just after saying this point. The biggest problem with that is, if these same white women, even just white women who don't even have the same story, they come over and they hear these Asian women, I want me an Asian woman, and she's so tight and light, and she a little spinner chick, and I can race mix with Asians. Well, like, in the same thing, women don't have political minded brains. They should be talking about this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But women, to a certain degree, there's enough of us. This, I think, I'm going to assume this travels across all women. We have enough sense about when somebody's trying to sell us some bullshit. And when we come over here and it's like, oh, we're going to be saving the white race, you're going to be doing this, blah, blah, blah. But you sitting here writing your next breath like, well, but we can still race mix with these Asians. And they'd be like, whoa, bruh, what? I'm just a normal white woman. I'm not dumpy. I'm not fat. I'm not no mud shark. But I'm just a normal white woman that agrees with you. Now come over here and you talk about the race, the mud sharks got to burn. But then the next breath out your mouth is like, oh, well, we could race mix with some Asians. If I was some sensible white woman who was slightly alt-right, slightly race realist leaning into these circles, I'd be like, no. And keep it moving, because you can't even uphold the standards you're trying to set down. Well, women need to follow men, but you have to lay a standard. We're all a subject of the past 50, 70 years of this cultural programming. This goes across the aisle in terms of race, in terms of gender. You can't sit here and try to like bring the women to heel, but you sit here with all these duplicitous double standards. So this is like the black pill for me, was like some of these white men, these alt-right, white nationalist, race realist scenes, some of y'all just as duplicitous, just as mentally fucked up as these Negroes over here talking about black women gotta come home because they left it for the wicked, the welfare, and the weed. And I'm like, man, it's even over here with these saltines. I'm gonna have to send G y'all right now. These evil albinoids is over here. Evil albinoid men is over here on the same type of mental duplicitous fuckery as like these Negroes is. So I'm like, no. So if I'm even already feeling that as a black woman over here listening to y'all with an open mind and actually sync up with you and agree with you on a lot of things. And I'm sitting here saying that. Imagine some average white woman that just shows up and it's like, I ain't getting information with this, boo. We ain't getting information with this. You can't be trying to call me to the carpet and try to make me heel to you, but you on the same duplicitous shit as someone else. Anyway, so that comment, that little paragraph here says so much, and that I was able to unpack a lot of things I've thought for like probably a couple of years now and just pour that out. So I done poured that out. Let me take a breather. There's like maybe a few more little points I want to move through, and we'll keep it moving. So let's see what's going on. Email. Oh, I had to go in. I had to go in right there on that for a minute. I was like, damn, that's been in my head for a minute. And I've been wanting to like do videos on certain people on certain blogs and move to that. So let me just catch up with, what are you talking about, Bill? What are you talking about up in here? What you talking about up in here? I felt uncomfortable, weird, almost distinctly mixing my British Irish next to it. Oh my god, are you one of these hardcore alt-writers? Like, nah, man, these Italians, they ain't white. These Italians is they it's so funny. I guess that's probably my Dindu privilege. Like, it's so the Jew question. The funny thing is, I always think this in the back of my head, like, man, y'all Jews got it rougher than anybody in these streets. They just think I'm dumb and I'm a Dindu. I mean, I'm dumb about some things. You saw, like, I didn't understand that the comments were in this video, man, until like a couple days ago. But that's just it, though. That's actually a benefit. I'm just I'm just a dumb Dindu. I can live with that, but like the visceral kind of like Jews subverting shit all place, all day, every day. But like carrying that kind of baggage, I could just carry like the dumb Dindu on my back all day, every day. I ain't that dumb. I'm okay dumb, but like I manage. But you ain't mixing with them Italians. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, it's, for me, it's perspective wise, as someone that is very phenotypically, genetically sub-Saharan African descendant, it's just so funny to me, like watching like these various white Europeans get up into this like, you Italian, like dirty Italian. If you ever watch Savage Hippie, I'll name drop them again because they rock. I gotta catch up on their last video. Because like what happens, like David Cole and Edwin Oslin go back and forth, because Edwin is like kind of a Russian Jew descendant, and then David is more like, I think he's like a Germanic Jew stock. And so he's always calling like Edwin this like dirty, like Pole, Slavic They just go back and forth and they just like ram each other about like, you know, their different genetics. So it's always funny to me. It's like a sub-Saharan African person. Like, well, I mean, I guess compared to speaking, I'm like over here with them. So watching y'all like theoretically above me in these different like class ethnic spheres, ham it out for the whitest of the white. I'm always just like, oh, shoot. I mean, yeah. None of them Italians and black people, by the way. I was listening to Daily Show, and they were like really talking. They were talking about Robert De Niro and his family, his like mixed kids. It's weird because like it's weird. They were showing they pulled a few clips. Like they kind of remind me of, like De Blasio and his black wife's kids. Anyway, this happens naturally, instinctively, ethnicity. White people have black people really. Are you saying white people basically hate black people? Really, black men figured out, or white people basically have black people? It's like that you give the race realist right a separate title category to separate people. Yeah, email. I'll stop right there. Like there is a distinction and a difference. Like I was trying to like lay out to like my very more left leaning friends. Like this is a definite side tangent, and I could be wrong about this, but like with Richard Spencer, what I think his biggest strength was, and which actually right after I kind of fell into like Amarin and stuff black people don't like, I kind of came across Richard Spencer and NPI, and I think his strength is the fact that he called out the kind of normie conservative bullshit, Tea Party, fake conservative ink bullshit. And I was just so impressed. And like, I was coming off of like a kind of Ron Paulishness / I spoke at a Tea Party once. I'll tell y'all about that one day. I spoke on behalf of Ron Paul. It's funny because where they were, where I lived at the time, I knew some people, and I know they probably like, ooh, Dindu, come over here, girl. Get your black ass over here, girl. And I was like, okay. And it was so funny to me. But that was like kind of what shook me out of those last like, oh man, that scene. And that's where Richard Spencer shines. Like his like really like his beyond conservatism speech in Amarin. And also it was on, I don't know if it's still on Ratings Journal at all, but his nice like kind of like he's his point like, like this conservative ink that just gets money off of like little $30 checks from like fire country Midwesterners. It made me laugh so hard because like I remember in college, like this is my first turning point. I volunteered for John McCain. I know you could all call me a dumb bitch in the comments section. I know. I'm embarrassed about it now, but for me it was a transition point that led me to where I am now. But yeah, I'm a senior in college. I volunteered for the John McCain campaign. And I have a TV at the time. It was like, Sarah Palin's going to be the nominee, guys. And I was like, I would ever watching like her nominee speech, eating like free Papa John's, shit pizza with all these like weird ass normie Republicans in Iowa. Yes, I went to college in Iowa, so it was so annoying. But anyway, like that's where he shines. And like I know this past year, there's a lot of commentary about the alt-right, Richard Spencer, the leaders, and all this stuff. And it is what it is. I don't really want to get into that right now because that's another discussion for another time completely. But if anything, not to like shine Richard Spencer's shoes or anything, that's where he shines. I think more than this past year or so post-Trump with everything from Hellgate to Charlottesville to now. I really want to talk about this just to kind of like free will about certain things, but obviously it's out of time now. I'm already off on a tangent, but that's something I would say. So I like that you give the race realist right a separate title and category. Thank you, email. I mean, because okay, so that was the original point. My buddies, I would try to explain to them like they're very more left-leaning Hillary types. And I was like, funny thing, Richard Spencer's not some right-wing Republican. He actually goes at length to like really call out conservative ink. And he'd probably be more comfortable with you guys like being like, cultural liberals doing like cultural liberal things. Like, let's go like to this this isn't like any way defaming or sounding weird, but he just seems like more like a cultural liberal. And he's basically said enough in his work that he kind of basically is a liberal. It's just race is his starting point. He's not some self-hating white person or whatever. It's his starting point. But he would probably come out for sushi with us, and we could all go drink IPAs together someplace, and it wouldn't be no thing. And I'm not trying to slur or say anything weird, but he's not going to be sitting over here like, you know, it's not going to not come out like a slur, but like just drinking Budweiser and listen to a Toby Keith album. Like, that's not his shtick. Take offense to that if you want to. I mean, it's a black woman, these things. People take all kinds of shit to say about me. So sometimes I'm going to have to just very boil things down to something that sounds really rudimentary and kind of offensive, but you have to deal with that. So he'd be more comfortable having an IPA, you know, having like, you know, seared pork belly, roasted Brussels sprouts, seeing like some indie band in a basement show, probably more so than listen to like insert Fox News country album star drinking Bud Light, riding in a Ford, you know, 4x4, whatever. That is what it is. I know that it's very cliche. I had to boil things down to cliche to make this point. So you have to separate that because, you know, there's this commenter from Amarin. I wish I knew her and remember her handle, her name, but I used to like kind of comment with her back and forth. And she's very much said, I'm very much a liberal. I vote Democrat. I'm just a race realist. I'm a race whatever person. So that's one of the things that we're seeing moving forward being broken down is that all these stereotypes are these like really bullshit points. Like, if you're a white Republican, you're some big white pro-white race person. We all know that after this scene, no, the hell that's not the truth at all. And it's funny, like between the National Review guy, what's his name, the one that looks like a mulatto or like the octoroon looking dude who blocked me on Twitter, by the way. I didn't really say one thing to him, but he must have put that filter up for anybody that was alt-right affiliated. It just got blocked during like the election, and he just like blocked me. Kevin Williamson, that fucker. Yeah. So, you know, there's people like him, and even Greg Gutfeld, who I love. He said some things that I wasn't cool with during the election about Trump, and I've been a big fan of his for like years. And he was like kind of the edgy, cool Republican conservative type that I wanted to be like, but there were some things he said that I'm still not cool with to this day, and some of them Fox News people showed their ass, and I still haven't forgotten that. Anyway, there's definitely white guys who go nuts over Asian women. It's bizarre, but definitely does exist. Yep. And it get emailed. They're the ice people versus sun people. And it makes perfect sense in a maybe certain, it makes sense in a lot of ways. That's fine. It is what it is, you know, but you can't be some pro-white race realist, alt-righter type, you know, basically trying to shade white women for like XYZ, but then the two breasts out your mouth, you're talking about these Asian women. If you want to lead the race, you got to lead the race. So the same standard I had to learn I'm holding black men to and why they failed, I have to turn that same mirror over to white men to clean these circles and say the same thing. You can't be sitting here basically like just being white vanilla versions of like your Tommies and Tariqs and your black He-Man, black woman haters club types doing the same shit. You know, whatever, but you can't expect white women. No, not anybody's looking for white women to come on board, but it's always been discussion here, and I'd argue that there's more white women who'd be willing to like take up this cause. But when you just sit here and run your mouth about them, and then, oh, well, we're gonna give me an Asian woman. Them Japs are kind of hot. Ooh. I've seen this happen when I used to be on Daily Stormer War. I've seen this happen on the comment streams with them, and there's always like out of like 50, there's 3 white men who firmly say no race mixing, but then the rest of them are like, well, but you know, like, but you know, and it's like, well, dude, like, well, goddamn, like, you gotta have some standards here. You gonna see leading this race? How you gonna lead the race with all these double standards? You know. Anyway, I'm gonna make it through the rest of your little stream here, my friend email. Oh, now you don't get it. I'm not all right. I do believe racism. White people do have that instinctively. No, I'm not calling anyone. It's hard when I'm doing these videos and I'm like, no, certain people are listening and who may fit in one camp or the other. And I'm not trying to cast these wide nets over people. Everyone, I mean, I am a race realist, but then I have all these other caveats that come with my own perspective and things I'm adding to it. Like, I'm not, you know, I totally get that, man. I'm not like, you know, email, not a race realist. I mean, you're not alt-right. That's fine, especially after So many reasons why I think the term has had. Let's not do that right now. Video unto itself. Just like black women have those second thoughts on having babies with white men because they want to be full black. Email, you should, I'm going to type this right here in the chat and keep reading through your stream. Is Marriage for White People by Ralph Richard Banks. I want to get that book finally. I've heard at least 5 different black women offer commentary on it. And I want to actually, along with Negroes in Negroland, cover these texts in full. White women, black women do have that kind of like block, and it's for even more. I mean, arguably more so than black men have typically had within the past like 50 years. Ralph Richard Banks. So yes, and he pulls this apart actually, that black women tend to feel a lot more skittish about having biracial children. One of the anecdotes and kind of the lines that he offers is, well, part of the problem is in America particularly, a history of black women being caregivers, wet nurses to white women's children. And the idea of feeling like the help. So if you show up, someone like myself who, speaking of Issa Rae today, I was looking at photos from, like, if you guys want an idea of kind of phenotypically, not an exact makeup of what I look like, but look at Issa Rae, look at Whitney Houston, and I know, and the funny thing on Michelle Obama, I have to go, I mean, personally, she annoys me, but she's a good-looking black woman in her late 40s, early 50s, and all the shit that's been said by everyone, not just white racist men, quote unquote, everyone about her gets a little bit obnoxious. But if you want an idea phenotypically, I'm rather tall in terms of skin tone and certain types of phenotypically blackness. If you kind of were to hodgepodge like Issa, I'll just type it in. You kind of like were to hodgepodge Issa Rae, Michelle Obama, and Whitney Houston. I can't type. Equals, why is my M key so slow? TYPI. I know I spelled that wrong. It's giving me the red underscore, but whatever. So there's maybe that fear of like, oh, I look so much more different than, this kid. But yeah, that does happen. Anyway, I don't hate Italians. I'm not like crazy. I'm sort of Irish British heritage, but young age happened singly. Question: I have children with an Italian lady. Them Italians. Well, of course, this like way of communicating in this internet interspace sucks. No, I get it. You're not all right. That's totally cool. Yeah, like I mean, I have to imagine like that's where some folks end up coming from and whatever. But no, like and again, everything has like varying shades and degrees of how we see things. Like, yeah, I totally get that about being a race realist. It doesn't denote political terms. It doesn't. I mean, race is real, and there are ethnic, religious, cultural differences that can have a whole host of political persuasions. It can mean that you're like married to or have children with someone outside in your race. Like everyone starts reading Amarin. This guy like dropped a comment like, oh, like I'm new here. He's like, he basically presents himself as a white man who is married to a black woman who used to be a ballerina. And I was like, oh, I never thought I'd see a comment like that here. But all kinds of people see the differences amongst, race. It's, doesn't mean, you have to be this category or that. But anyway, I'm I've noticed one thing, like black women, I can see that it does cross their mind for a second, breeding with white guys and having black babies or fully black, because you're always going to be at this 50-50 mark. There's 23 chromosomes given to each person alive. I'm 23 chromosomes of my mother and my father. So but then within you also factor the whole one drop rule thingness that becomes a whole thing onto itself. So anywho, I'm gonna go back to what keep going. Oh, because I keep seeing his name and I think, oh, that's what I was gonna go back to. Okay. Let's take a sip. Where is the water? So, a black man can have all the necessary masculine characteristics to sexually arouse a white woman. Some southern partisans like to deny it, but southern white men spent generations helping themselves to the prettiest black slave girls. Hipster Racist drops the mic. So that's one other thing I always find so funny that's always missing from a lot of these discussions. Even on top of that, like where I think one of the argument counterpoints that I would arguably want to see more the alt-right make is basically saying that, well, now actually this is a fun I still can't tell you where I got this anecdote from because I'm trying to work something out with someone. And once I know that that's clear, I can share. There's two stories that I want to share with you folks, but I have to let this thing clear first. So I was talking to someone who's a Southerner, and we had a conversation at a certain place. And he shared this anecdote, basically saying that, well, I had this relative, this great grandfather, uncle type, who killed his wife. This is the South, and she was cheating on him or something, and he must have choked the bitch. And he went to jail, but then a bunch of her family and friends broke his ass out and they hung his ass. And I remember being on a very black woman's Facebook channel. So actually, I was on a Kendall St. Charles / Brooklyn Blue thread, and I remember leaving that because like we were on some topic, and I remember I was very apprehensive about saying this at first, but then I was so glad I said it, and I've seen now. Not saying I'd start this, but it's replicated that there was a reason some of these niggas was getting lynched. We see the shit we see today. There was a reason this is happening. And I mean, basically said something to the effect of, after telling the anecdote, because it's the same guy told me, used to hang horse thieves. So this whole idea of the poor black man, they just lynching him for no reason, blah, 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 tears, tears, tears. No, like if you were white and you did some fucked up shit, you was getting hung too. You was gonna be strong for you. I was watching some that's that channel. Everybody has it in America now. They run channel that shows all those old 60s, 70s like movies, cowboy shows, whatever. And some dude stole somebody's horse. The whole episode's about them dudes chasing this dude down. So it's not like some foreign, strange thing that this happens in. So went over a bit out of this comment because that brought up a whole separate thought. So let me just circle back here. So when we talk, so I'm just saying comparably. I mean, I guess I don't want to like just solely use a secondhand account of Thomas Sowell. Is it Soul or Sowell? I feel like sometimes I have like hard consonant vowel pronunciation. So Thomas Sowell. I feel like I'm saying that differently, but they all sound the same. A lot. So this is a secondhand account from him. Like there are a lot of the race mixing, because if you consider that only 2% of white Southerners actually owned slaves, a lot of the mixing that you see has to come from either a comparable pool, if not maybe more in a majority sense leaning otherwise. So free black women and free white men also make a fair amount of the mixed race babies at that time. So, Southern black men, well, he said this isolated particularly to the plantation, but it compared to that secondhand note that I have from Thomas Sowell that I've seen repeated in a few spaces, it's just basically there was race mixing happening on both sides. And where then it was more heavily geared towards that direction versus others, that's a thing. He gets a little bit further into fleshing that point out, so let's just keep moving. This is why sexual arguments are losers for a pro-white movement. Once you start making sexual rules, you have to keep going. Bingo. And like I said before, like if some white woman had a black boyfriend because they grew up in the same like collar community in a ring suburb for like 6 months, and mud shark be gone, like the new meme begone thought, begone mud shark. Someone that they had no children with the person, and it was just a thing for whatever reason. It's setting up problems that will be, in my opinion, better addressed in a white ethno state Well, you make certain rules for who did this, who can do that, and you can do those separations and trying to like build up the kind of meta political cultures downstream from politics. Insurgency movement here, it just seems a lot more. This is just my opinion. Again, I'm a Black woman who has similar thoughts, fellow traveling, but I'm not in any position to be making like being authoritative and making rules. But that's where it seems like letting some parts of the mud shark question go, and since like seeing just licking your finger, putting in the air, who are these white women are here? Why are they here? And where can we go from there? And just using it to your advantage, like anyway. Okay, no miscegenation. Okay, he's just saying these things. White people. Anytime. Okay, this is a good point. Anytime you have a multiracial society, you're going to have miscegenation. Anytime you have race A in a dominant position over race B, you're going to have the men of race A poaching the women of race B. A development that will be welcomed by many women of race B precisely because of that power differential. You will also have women of race A mating down with the men of race B, also precisely because of the power differential. And that's just almost a mirror of what we see today. So I was in the Miss Archduchess live stream. I'm going to drop that in the notes just because Miss Archduchess is bae and she's cool. Thomas Sowell. Okay. I always say, see, I said this before, like, sometimes I see, like, a certain vowel, and I get confused, like, my tongue gets confused. And I want to say something else. Okay. No, why is the ethno state stupid? I think the ethno state's brilliant because a lot of this race mixing, who did this, who shouldn't do that, are you pagan, are you Christian? A lot of these things will answer themselves if certain groups of whites can, and I guess other people who want to do the same thing too, can build and bounce off and do their own thing within certain jurisdictions or districts that are self-created. I'm actually, see, this is a big, okay, I guess spoiler, this is the biggest reason. Like I kind of like even my dorkiness, like on Sunday, like, I used to have a crush on Bruce Willis, and like I've not been checking for the bro since 4th grade, and blah 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 blah. Basically exposing myself, like I like Jim Gold on Friday. He's like talking about his like the Cuban he like had fun with and gave him his seed, or like, the fact that he's been with Black women before, and blah, blah, blah. Like, all of us dirty, degenerate race mixers, we can do our thing someplace else. And then all these whites who want certain rules, which I encourage and they're very able to have, they can have those things, but like I think a lot of the circle jerkery and the alt-right in these scenes just comes from this position of like powerlessness about the destiny of my fellow whites. In an ethno state, you can start making these racial distinctions about who race mixes, who doesn't, and things actually get done. If you're just sitting here kind of like pissing in the wind about who's doing this, that, and the third, maybe finding them on Twitter and like chasing them down, like, look at the picture of you, and you're like, the Lauren Souther thing. Like, I guess she dated some Indian guy in college, and then there was something else akin to that. Like, then, white ethno state, these things won't be an issue because all the whites there, you've vetted, and everybody has certain behavioral patterns and this and that. And you're like, fine. And then we don't have to have like all this kind of angst anymore. But yeah. Well, I don't think it's impossible in the U.S. I mean, are you familiar with let's see, what is it? Shelley versus Kramer, restrictive covenants. I mean, some of these. That's one. Okay, here's another my big brain ninja moment here. A lot of like, I think the alt-right and too many people in these dissident right scenes, they're pushing against things that it took 70-ish years to get from the end of World War II to now. It'll probably take as long, if not maybe twice as, to push the ball back up the hill. So some of the things that they could be attacking, or some of the things that came down and were dismantled, like if the alt-right could put Shelley versus Kramer back together and undo something like that, you'd be even like 5 or 6 steps closer to what you think you want and be done with it. Just trying to like, fight against thoughts and mud sharks. Yeah, but you have no legal system in place and a power structure of your own to enforce those types of rules. Now, I got some ideas about how you could, without those things in hand, actually get some of these things back in line, but I'll save those for another time. Having ethno states will definitely solve a lot of problems. It's not realistic. Yeah, Ann Sturzinger, who's one of the co-hosts of Savage Hippie, she kind of has gone back about this. Like, there's just not but no, it's possible and it's feasible. But no, that's the thing. No, let me scratch that. What's possible and feasible is for like people to like just like why isn't the alt-right, distant right jumped in the tiny home movement? Enough of these guys now and some of the chicks know each other from like standard pool parties from Daily Showa. Hopefully behind the scenes people are like maybe trying to buy an acre of land together and doing something like, like that, an acre or two or so where it's just you and other, white people that you vet to be there or to visit or whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be some like all or nothing, like all of a sudden. Bloop. I mean, was it Murdoch on the 100% Bavarian phenotype? That was a really cool episode where they kind of hash out some of that as well. Well, not. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it could come about. Like again, that's actually something people should be actually doing and working on. And some like I mean, I don't want to be like a joke about libertarians. They're like, oh, well, who's gonna build the roads? I mean, there's a lot of things I can see how it shapes out. That's probably definitely. I'm gonna make it. Actually, I'm not even lying. Email. That's actually something to cover. How do they work? Got it. Definitely worth coming back to. So the power differential in the race is shaping up. Like for instance, if a white woman decides to get with some black guy, and he's kind of like here nor there, he's if he was white, just working a certain job or at a certain class level, the non-blackness might be triggered a little bit more differently. But yeah, so with this power differential, just because if you got like some white woman, some kind of Becky type that's with a black guy, she may not have the same status as like, was it Becky, something Becky, Alpha, Stacy. Oh, the Virgin Becky, the Alpha, Stacy. Wow. I would use. Ask white women how much luck they've had shaming a successful white man for yellow fever. Thank you. Again, it's another like parallel point. I see like with too many black women like I've said, like the whole Sinji Chrissy thing. Like they're trying to shame black men for not being a part of the race or like uplifting dark skinned black women, etc. and so forth. And it's like, no, there isn't again, and it's taking what he's saying right here, like to a certain degree, like especially considering how much other mixing you see between white men and Asian women. Well, how successful do you think you're gonna be, like getting like some white guy to like not do it? Same way, like brothers, we need you. We want you to come home. Blah blah blah. And it's like it's been like 25, 30, almost 40, 50 years now. Nothing's gonna change. So he makes a stark point, like saying, "I'm pro-white. I don't need to like be boxed into certain labels. I'm here to defang certain terms and to like move forward." So here's another part. If some white women somewhere wants to have little mulatto children has nothing to do with me. They have always been and there always will be whites that go native. They separate themselves from the white tribe and they join the other tribe. And so it's a very common sense dark way of just kind of addressing it and moving on, like the perpetual, like, about these race mixing mud sharks. And for me personally, just as a black woman, personally, why I don't want to engage in this argument is because people look at me, you know, as a type and assume that I care. That I'm like sitting here, like, feeling some kind of way and so pressed about it. So I actually make a lot more strides to not care or not say anything because it's just not what I want to be like looped in or roped into. So yeah, I can maybe come back again in the future to this. Like you've seen it here, it's linked below. Um, it's here, it's there, it's linked below. Boop. Man, weird way our brains are sort of like each other's heads. So how do you get what I'm saying? Cross segment. You get I'm saying I really don't care about sharks. Good. Because it's pointless. It's weird that people want you to care. Like too many all right types just want to like fap about like how much they hate it or this, that, and the third. And then there's so many black women who they don't care about, enough. Too many don't care about the fruits, their vegetables, their medication at night. But the show up to tell you, about this race mixing agenda, COINTELPRO, or this, that, and the third, and even some of the more reputable types. Like I don't want to send anyone else black over to something to like that's on the fence question these things. Like I don't want their brain to turn to mush. Oh, what dare y'all, dear he? So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that comment. So I think I can wrap up here and say channel goals. Well, I'm gonna be out of the country ever so slightly next week, just for the first half. And I'm working on ways to make sure I can like upload or do something cool or fun while I'm away. Um the intention is to come back every day with a live video of some sort about something. And this was the beginning, the kind of icebreaker to that. And yeah, so I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a quick pause, and I'm gonna say this in the chat. I mean, I'm not gonna pause the video. I'm just going to make a quick little hop, skip, and a jump over, and I'm gonna leave you in a question. Ask me anything. Seriously, ask me anything before bed. I got some trip planning to do. I'm going to an island country just for a few days next week, and then I'm going to the UK next month. And I'm trying to like tomorrow, so I want to get some sleep. I need to call my phone carrier tomorrow to find out what I need to do to make sure I'm all good. Because maybe I'll even send you guys a guarded picture tomorrow. I would play you some music, but last time like I goofed that up and it was all like scratchy weird. Basically, yeah. I'll be back in like 2 seconds. Just give me 2 quick seconds. I'll be right back. And ask me anything. I'm opening the doors of my closet. I'm coming out of the closet. Oh, yeah, it's raining. Back in the closet. A story about love, about passion, and a fight for freedom. Back in the closet. I feel like that sounds like a movie. It's a great title. I like my little closet. My closet in the middle of my street. Okay. So, are you going to that Black women's only retreat to Costa Rica to escape white racism? Oh my God, them chicks. Ugh. Thank you, email. No, Costa Rica with some crazy black women. No, you know why? Because look at that. It's. How about this? Maybe a little bonus footage tonight. No, the women are nuts, and their example of like. So it's almost like if you're familiar, email this whole red pill into like the race question, the woman question, the JQ question. And then sometimes I think, especially this is what I think what Luke Ford's doing is really interesting, is because I think, like you said, that half his channel is like the Stormer TRS types. And most people who kind of flow between or whomever show up there, we are all pretty well aware of like everything that's been thrown about the Jews for like whoever fuck knows how long. And then you're like, okay, but then I have to walk. I mean, I guess for me particularly, I said, like as a black woman, it's different because I can hear all the shit thrown at black people, particularly black, black people in general, black men, black women, the blacks. I really hate that word. Sometimes I get triggered hearing the blacks. Because even with a lot of the alt-righter types, like the whites, they're not separating from men versus women and like the different roles they play. But anyway, so let me pause. I started to get a little parched right here. So you basically hit these walls where like you first get red pilled on these people or certain things, and you're like, yeah, fuck them, bah! But then you see a lot of their own faults and you walk it back. So like, first like, oh, okay, sisters, we gonna get information and like figure this out. But then you just realize way too many black women are just like those Costa Rica hoes. They're not very bright, and they're just in a level of denial that I'm not sure can be broken. Because they were basically faking like, oh, well, we're leaving because everything's so racist in Trump America. It's like, bitch, no, it's not. Nobody ever told you, no white man ever told you it was pretty for a light-skinned girl. Now, it could have happened, yes. Is there a probability? Of course, there's always a probability. But a lot of like what their complaints were just things that they know that they're experiencing amongst majority black people circles. And they're just trying to fake it out and play victim for some Vice magazine article. Look at my glasses. They look great. Yeah, like glasses. USA.com. It's like Lena Dunham's skinnier sister on the left. All right. I don't even know where to jump in. I was just going to jump in for a second because we were just talking about what you just asked me before about. Yeah. I think I was just tempted to like. Oh, that is a video. It sucks. Yep, left wing propaganda, say the least. Let's see. We gotta pause this. It's like moving too much in my foreground, background. Did you say you were from? You asked email. You asked this further up. Stream. Are you from New York? You said. Yeah, you did say that. Or like originally, you don't live there currently, but yeah, man, I'm thinking about going to visit again sometime like the summer. Yeah, because I think I've kind of parceled down like my visits there to like one cool day, I just see what I want to see. I go like, maybe go to Keen's, #Keen's, like, oh, it was such a good steakhouse. I mean, it's a little bit more non-traditional because of the mutton, but anyway. Wow, been thinking about that too much. Do you know that I think that might help out ladies like Kendall and Miss Archduchess? Honestly, I got years ago. The Kendall and Miss Archduchess, there, ladies know propaganda works. I mean, do you mean in like a political sense? I know you can hear me. You mean uh well, since I've already spell checked through this. Yes, okay, I guess I'll stop then. Like sticky boards, sticky keys. Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, I think that would help. But the problem I kind of foresee, and I think I've already kind of bumped up against a certain other black women, is there's too much. It's almost like there's too many red pills. And now after like the past decade of the He-Man Black Women Haters Club, Black Women Beastie Hair Had a Hooligan, Wickweed, Welfare Thought, Whores, all these things. Like, so for me personally, I guess what I can say to you and anyone listening, and I can, it's so strange. I try to say this out loud because I run, even when I was on Luke 4 on Sunday, like I was very conscious of trying to be like, okay, I'm a black woman here and I'm here, but I'm from a certain discipline, for lack of a better term. And I have to be careful what I say because I'm trying to represent something that's new that a lot of people haven't heard. I'm having to like always like defend myself, not defend myself. But I'm already stepping on myself because like what you're saying there is really reaching me because I want to say certain things to other black women, even ones I agree with, maybe on 90% of certain subjects. But breaking down propaganda in a political sense gets problematic right at this point because I don't know if you're familiar with this, what happened recently. Damn, pause. That's my like, that squeaky noise is my titanium water bottle. I apologize. What just happened recently? There was this whole light skin, dark skin, in and out debate that spilled over into a couple different circles. And it's like, I think black women over here, like the Kendall Miss Archduchess side of the coin, there's just so many things that, I mean, for me personally, and I want to write this down. I've been working on this piece for a bit for a certain website. I was already kind of bathed in the trial by fire of race realism. But I was already set up for a lot of reasons to already be able to accept that type of understanding. But for black women who are find themselves, in the more Kendall Miss Archduchess circle, like, you know, they haven't had that kind of trial by fire that I was already kind of ready for. And I don't say this in anything like good or I'm trying to elevate myself, just more like because I was already kind of more quote unquote right leaning, because I already supported Ron Paul, because I already was more of an Oreo and I was like a swirler and not just a swirler, because I don't even like that word. Cause for me, it more defines black women who are just now within whatever reason dating out. Not ones of us who maybe since we were like little girls, we already felt certain non-black inclinations. So there's all these things that I think I was already ready. I was already kind of, tempered for. But to come in and tell them about the political thing and trying to unpack the Democrat voting and do you want to be a liberal? Are these Republicans just evil right KKK members? I feel like it's so much. It's like you got someone like I remember there's this guy I worked with years ago, and he was like, "Oh, I take my like 3-year-old for sushi." And I was like, "What? That's weird." Well, he's like, "No, I mean, I'm not giving him like raw like sashimi eel." But he had like a 3-year-old. They would go out for sushi, probably just like kind of more very entry level cuts, like maybe like a classic Philly roll, which is usually raw salmon, cream cheese wrapped up in like rice and the seaweed. And it's like, okay, that's kind of out there. So it's almost like this analogy that I kind of come up with, like, and, obviously outside of this guy and his kid, like you don't give like a 3-year-old sushi. You take them for chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. When they're older, maybe 10, 12, 15, 16 plus, it's a graduated scale of what you unpack with him. And so some of the unpacking, some of the political discussions, I've been in these situations many times. Even tonight, like somebody like, oh, the Kanye thing and Trump, and like, oh, Trump and the MAGA people. And I'm like, I can't stand Kanye West and the Kardashians for a lot of reasons. I had a thought today. I'll leave this in the comment for posterity. Am I a that was a question that came in my head today. I was just like sitting there thinking about all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I am Kanye. Kanye is me. Yeah, it's a thing. I think the consciousness is there, and I'm not saying that any of the women who I've meet and run in those circles aren't there for it and they can't get it or don't see it. It's almost like like I think everything in these kind of like 2 to 3 step modules. Like right now, like if you want to hate Trump, I could care less. It doesn't mean anything right now when you got like all this like it's like one of the discussions came tonight was how do we like reach the women, how do we reach the black woman. And I saw someone, I did not come up with this. I think it's brilliant. And tonight I was thinking about this after Miss Archduchess live stream. I'm like, man, like someone said this like months ago. How do we like, maybe someone said, why don't you make some like fires up or like little clips and go out to like your average inner cities, your Chicago's, your Baltimore's, your this, your that, and reach out to black women who are just, because the problem now is we can all be as erudite and above this as we want to be, but we got the sisters that are representing the base image. Like I was listening to Daily Stormer. I've said it before. Oh no, Kendall is bae. Like, every black woman like in these circles, they add something to the picture. But what Kendall St. Charles and Brooklyn Blue was able to do in the most recent times that, other people have done and have added to, what she did in such a very closed circuit way was to like she changed the language. And I really admire just the fact that she gave like a framework. Like it's like when I try to do alt-right comparisons to black women in circles, what's happening in a way, and this is not catch-all enough, but I could say Kendall in so many degrees, she's like our Mike Enoch in the sense that you can disagree with Mike Enoch, you can have personal things about his personal life that have come to surface that you may have problems with or kind of go, oh, really? But Mike Enoch, when you hear him debate when he talks, like, and he unpacks certain things, like, he's just really verbose in a way that's really like interesting. And I always like I'm never not interested in listening to him. But then also saying Richard Spencer, like who's very well read, very, Mr. Nietzschean, Dugan philosophicalness, blah blah blah. In so many words, I'm saying that Kendall kind of emerges, at least in a verbal sense, in a like laying these foundations. She's kind of like our black woman's alt-rights Enoch or Richard Spencer in terms of what she's been able to do in terms of changing the language. Not that there aren't thousands of, or I even said once I was joking, someone like Kendall is our here. Kendall is our Jared Taylor, baby. Like in a way, like that's actually more perfect than anything. She's our Jared Taylor. Like she's like the black woman's Jared Taylor. Like she's pro black woman. She just lays it out there, and that's her focus. And that's what she's able to do. That's our Jared Taylor, baby. Like I don't know. It's kind of kitschy and kind of goofy, and I'm definitely not fleshing this out well. But I'm just basically going back and forth with you right now. But like that in a way, like one time, like I think a few months ago, I stopped. I was like, oh my god, no, Kendall's our Jared Taylor, man. Like that's pretty rad. So, I mean, you know, so yeah, Miss Archduchess, Egypt and Simone 5 6 had a video tonight. It was really, it was from yesterday. It was streaming. She talked about the whole Issa Rae thing, and I was like, So it's like I can't still flesh out the metrics of how to make this comparable because it's not completely comparable, and that's fine. But like again, I'm mesmerized by this parallel between these very white male centric, more white male centric circles, and all right, and then what black women like myself are kind of experiencing on this other stream of like ideas and this change of like, the white male identity is kind of waking up to the things that are targeting it. Then black women like myself over here, like things are targeting us, and we're just like, it's weird. Like, because again, like this is something I struggle with this channel. I was thinking maybe next week when I'm out of the country getting some sun, I might have to like try to lay some of this out a little bit more. Because I'm thinking next few days I'm just gonna do single serving videos, even though I've already overstayed my welcome tonight. And I have not done I may have to not do a video tomorrow. Just because. No, I'll probably. I think for the next few days, just so you know, my buddy, my pal, my dude email. They was gonna shoot videos, no live streaming for next days. I have a trip to plan for. I'm going out of the country for a few days, and I want to like shoot while I'm there. Maybe I'll give you guys some sun, some beaches and shit. Sun and beaches and shit. But I gotta like tonight, like I came back, I went to the mall, got on my little girl tangent. I went to the Mac store. Oh man, I hadn't been to a Mac store in like 6 months. You walk in there and it's like $60. Like bloop. You're like, God damn it, my $60 gone. So I got all my like girl shit ready for my trip. I bought some shoes, they were on sale. I bought a new bra today. It's like you walk in the mall, you walk out, that's $150. But it's weird. I haven't been to the mall in 6 months, so I have to like not complain. Sorry, that's been bugging me since I got back. I literally just got back from the mall when I got on. No, I stopped for a beer. I needed a beer. You just saw me on the other stream. I was like, man, why is this mixed race couple staring me down? Like, ugh, I hate going out in public, especially the malls. Deadmalls.com. I'd love to tell you about my life story one time. Wave House called Brooklyn Blue. I click on this later. I'm holy shit. Oh man, yeah, we know Keys and Hope Classic Race thing. Yeah, I want to start like I'm gonna start a white ethno state in Costa Rica. I'm like, hey, y'all can just rent it out for me. I'll be like, hey, oh my god, so this black woman starting a white ethno state in Costa Rica. Yeah, man, because I agree. SH 14. Well, okay. I was trying to find a way to say it in case it gets tripped up by the YouTubers. Yeah, it's still a little. Okay. How about this? I think I already like gave myself my email. I have a confession to make. So this puts me at any risk. Well, I guess it will. You were close. I think you asked this a few streams ago. Yeah, I live in Minnesota, Stan. I think I'm embarrassed because it's Minnesota, Stan, and it's embarrassing. I'm actually from Wisconsin originally. I've lived here for like a year. I'm sorry I was so ashamed to admit like that I live here now. I've only lived here for a year. These people, the white people here are weird. Like I can't explain. I mean, I can't explain it. I don't. It'll be very offensive if I really explain it. I mean, some of the weird, like goofy ass, good white conversations I found myself in. It's like, ugh. I miss like Wisconsinite. Like I miss where like it's already majority minority chocolate city, and the white people there don't have any this weirdness about themselves. Like they know what's up on the racial questions. But here there's enough of this like kind of fictitious goofiness that like I find myself a little bit annoyed with more often than not. But anyway, so I should confess that now. Yep, life in Minnesota, Stan. It's all right. I mean, I like it. It's good stuff. I gotta get up north. I'm actually gonna be doing some kayaking this summer. I'm looking forward to that. I miss like the outdoors. It's beautiful. It's beautiful up north. Northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota are beautiful places. So I'm very much looking forward to kayaking. Kayaking, hey. Yep, weird ass. Yeah, and like, okay, this is the craziest anecdote. So I was doing, I have to go into the cities to do like my like lip-hearted stuff, and there was somebody. There's this saying in one of the like yoga poses, like it's called like Japanese ham sandwich. Now, it's just basically this implication of folding yourself over and up that you're really tight and compressed. It's not anything racially. It's just really a saying. And if you think of like sushi and like sometimes like nigiri or sashimi pieces where things are kind of folded very tightly, like the rice, the fish, the seaweed, tight packed things. It's not any kind of like whatever. It's just me, my Dindu self, and these white women. And I'm like, and then someone was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe someone said that. That's so racist. And I'm like thinking in my head, like, girl, I've been like doing this style of yoga for like 5 fucking years. No one has ever like complained about this before. And she's just basically, I'm glad I wasn't there when they said Japanese ham sandwich. And I'm like, in my head, like, dude, it's like 7 in the morning. We just all like got out of this damn class. Like, man, it's just obnoxious. Like, and then she's no, it wasn't her, some other chick. Like, it's a weird gentrifying neighborhood where there's a lot of Hmong Thai people, and it's like it's not the safest area. It's not like, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, it's not that either. But I mean, I live in a very nice white safe low crime area, so whatever. And she's like, and someone was just asking in the lobby like, oh man, looking for a new Thai place to go to. And this woman, she must have just come out of one of the doors behind us. She didn't even hear the whole conversation. She just like jumps on, wait, did someone say this isn't a safe neighborhood? I mean, this is a really safe neighborhood. And I'm looking like, girl, we weren't even talking about that. All she wanted to do was look for like a Thai place in the area. And you didn't even hear half the conversation, but you were so triggered by your like normie, good white, liberal, goofy assness, and you just come out of it's like the old black saying, you all in the Kool-Aid, you don't know the flavor. That's literally what this chick just did. And I'm like, man, these people are goofy. I like when you live around white people that know what the F is up. Like, this is just like a goofiness that I just don't like. Ugh, I had to like vent and confess. Ugh. Right, tell them what. Yeah, they never, or like, yeah, Midwest and says Somali. I know. Someone keeps asking me, like, have I joined ISIS yet? And I'm like, no. Seattle! I want to go to Seattle, Portland. Like, I've heard the Pacific Northwest is supposed to be really pretty and cool and just, another good country in the North American landscape to see. There's that big train that goes through the Empire Builder. It originates in Chicago and it goes all the way out. Well, it splits like around Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and you can take it either to Seattle or to Portland and see that part of the country. So one day I'm gonna do that. One freaking day. Yay! I've come out of the closet. Well, not my I've come out of my mental geographical closet, but not my physical closet. Yeah, I would, hey, I would name drop a certain person, but I'll name drop R. Kelly. He's getting canceled. Creepy Negro pedophile motherfucker. I mean, it's where I like Aaliyah as a girl. I think I got rid of all my old cassette tapes. I wish I had Aaliyah's Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, like old school. Like he was married to her when she was like 15. Anyway, Chirac or Chicago West Kardashian, whatever you want to call that now. Man, this Trump Kanye thing. I didn't even do a whole video about that thing because I just like, too many other things to talk about. But you said Chicago. I was thinking Chicago. Basically nothing like back and Joe about to Seattle. Nice. You still out there? Oh yeah, I've done I-90, but just the I-90 that kind of originates down here, like around like the general Chicagoland. Sweet. Yeah, I want to go out there. Are you still, if you don't mind me asking, are you still in the Pacific Northwest, or you said you live in the South. You live in Tennessee, right? I've been there a few times. I've been through Chattanooga and like Nashville. It's crazy once you get that far south from up here. You realize you're a hop and skip and jump from Georgia. Then in your head, you're like, whoa, I'm like all the way down here, man. It's like 13 hours. I've driven from here to general Nashville area before. It's 13 hours back and forth. It's beautiful though. I like the kind of circular highways along Tennessee in the south. It's pretty beautiful. Like the landscape changes. This trippy like comment vault is making me tripped out. So we covered everything here, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna close that. That was Aryan Skynet. That was episode 1 of Blogs I Frolic With. And I actually just carried over the link from yesterday. So please forgive me. I just wanted to make sure I did this properly tonight. Little teaser. I have to come back and like talk about Orwell's daughter later because it's like a new one. Oh man, this is such a trip article. Okay, it's so funny because this is like one that I've always wanted to like. Oh, I'm going to come back and do this. I can't do it tonight. It's already 2:30. White males imbibing psychocyanide for centuries. Man, April 30th, 2016. Now just read it through. If anybody's listening, this is like, oh man, this is my like, and she's very brutal towards white men, and she is kind of more in this like white nationalist, pro-white. I'm gonna leave the white nationalist the terminology aside, because she gets in white men's asses on this channel. And yeah, it's harsh, it's brutal. Actually, I know a white man that's sympathetic to these thoughts. I shared this with. He's like, "Whoa, she is like," and I was like, "Yeah, she getting that ass." I was thinking she's like Kendall's Brooklyn type for this scene. Man, should I? I'll just read it and maybe I'll come back to this later. A subscriber to this here blog recently asked what I thought about white males ages 20 to 40. For what he had to say, I'm guessing he is not very impressed. Well, as you probably gathered by now, this here little old doormat with holes hasn't been impressed with white males for quite some time. I am particularly unimpressed with their inability to see themselves as their creators see them. This is one reason I say quite correctly that white males are autistic. Their irrationality is so deeply ingrained that they are so used to believing that nearly any kind of bunkum spouted by another male is rational and logical, that there doesn't seem to be any way to cut through their psychosexual Fruit Loop morass. She had a lot of trippy words, so forgive me. At this point, it's difficult to say how much of their spiritual cancer is due to autism via their degraded little apostrophe grandiosely mislabeled the Y chromosome. How much is their trademark childish stubbornness born from centuries of misogynistic programming, and how much of it is due to centuries of believing that God gave them a right to lord it over their creators. Even the white social justice tards and their liver lip conservatives regularly treat white women like dog dirt, even as they suck black, brown, and Jew cock with gusto. Whoo! She got in that ass in like the first paragraph. I'm gonna save this. That's a tidbit. I'm not gonna link right away. This is a little bit more teaser, but you can probably go find what I'm talking about. Because one thing, this isn't the same article, but one thing she points out that's key that really shook me, the whole conversation about white women, blonde hair, and then especially comparably black women, they blonde hair and their hair weaves. She made this point that I hadn't really considered, and it's just an observation. A lot of the blonde hair push comes at a certain point in history, within the past 100 years, and what we identify as like the blonde hair, blue eyed, white female prototype in so many circles. That's something more new to focus on. And she's very, I guess if I call her JQ woke, that's an understatement. But she kind of situates that argument right within that context. That was something that they were fascinated with and started to push within the past 50 years. All the bottle blondes, box blondes in the 40s and 30s, 40s, and 50s cinema. So when everyone gets all up in their ass about black women just trying to copy white women in their blonde hair, but the funny thing is, blonde women with blonde hair, at least as this argument posits this occurrence of that being so pushed, it makes a lot of sense. And just in the seeing it, a lot of those, like, there's so many white. So I always want to press to ask, like, so if a white Italian, half Italian, Turkish bitch is dyeing her hair blonde, and she hate like her Southern Eastern European roots, and she's trying to be some Aryan Scandi Nordic queen or something, like, it's so funny watching that argument be thrown in Black women's faces way, 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 way too often. I mean, there's 2 Asian women in my job who dyed their hair blonde, which is weird. But no, even on top of that, this is what I want to talk about for a while, this whole hair thing. There's a trend with white women now where they're like dyeing their hair blonde. Or no, they're dyeing it like these weird colors, at least on the edges. So there's white women I see, like, it's like their normal hair color, but then they're dyeing like, an inch through to the root, to like the tips, like blue or green or something. Or just like it's kind of like more fuchsia pink. So the women are fun. It's like again, if you think that Black women are inherently ugly, unworthy, which they weren't, the only person that's been teaching everyone to say that are our own brothers, fathers, uncles, and cousins, and Black men online and social media in real life, telling the rest of the world to treat us that way. It's so funny. Like, people, oh, well, do you get offended in these circles? Like, I remember Luke asked me, oh, like, reading Amarin, what was that like? And I wish I could have go back and say, well, a lot of things that maybe offend me or are hurtful, they already came from Black men, particularly, and then other Black people in general, my own race. How the hell am I going to go read American Renaissance and be offended by something that my own race has basically told the world to think or believe about me? That's probably a much better way to answer that question. But yeah. So pretty much driven I-90 to Boston, Seattle. Real South. Hashtag Real South. The Jewish question. Yep, thank you. Is Black men perpetuating? So when he asked me that on Sunday, I was like, well, a lot of these, I'm just reacting in conversation. And it's a conversation like 3 or 4 other people, and I didn't really get to like stop and like pull for that, because I would have liked to have said, well, hey, like, funnily, or to ask, like, why are you asking that? Like, are you hearing this? Like, do you hate your hair? Like, well, no. I know Black men keep running their fucking mouths about it. They're not producing, providing, protecting for anything. They can't stop getting shot by the evil white man that hates them so much, but they can show talk about hair, wig, weave, and makeup all day. I mean, if that paid dividends, man, we'd be some rich bitches in this race. But yeah, it's mostly Black men perpetuating this, and then Black women in they acquiesce, they sit and they pile on too. The natural destructiveness and the vindictiveness that other Black women have towards themselves and other Black women and girls is, no other race of people does this. Like, on one hand, yes, I bet the dark, swarthy subcontinental Indian and the whatever sub-equatorial, South American, Hispanic, they probably all feel the same way. Like, they love their women, or they at least have to. And they'll keep it quiet that they, worry about how swarthy they are, or if they're like too, hairy, like, some of the Indians tend to be like. But they keep that shit private. They want to like enjoy some Aryan Queen. They do it, but they're not out here. Imagine something like, imagine Muhammad or, Pajit, like, talking about my Indian women in they saris, they looking like bitches, or I'm just trying to like rudimentally pull this out of my like backside right now. But can you imagine that? Or like, man, I'm a Japanese man, I can't stand these Jap hoes out here with they Jap hoe bullshit. Blah 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 blah. Or the Mexican man, like, I can't stand these chiquitas and they like stanky ass tamales. I'm really struggling here. Forgive me. But you see what I'm trying to say? No one else does this with the Black male. No one else, like, and I'm not the first person to say this, and a lot of what I'm doing here in this channel is telling you this. Nobody but this male come out to the world and tell him how his wife, his mother, his daughter, his lover, his niece, his female cousin, no one else comes to the whole world sphere to tell people how much he hates the woman that gives birth to him. This is something that's specifically wrong, And if black women can't, like as Miss Archduchess we talked about tonight, black women can't get out of the state of denial. I mean, they're gonna burn and perish with his ass, just like it's probably meant to be. No one else does this. Even the more darker, swarthy, down the class economic pool men, they don't do this like this black male does. It's something to behold. You know, well, do you listen to Luke Ford? Or do you listen to like Daily Showa or I was thinking Grandpa Lampshade. Like somebody was uploading his stuff off on YouTube, and I was listening to it for a bit. Especially right now, I definitely can't give you a concise JQ description right now. But I think other people are way better to have that conversation than me. Maybe I can come back and like next time we're gonna stream together, or I'll just separate a separate little update video. I just can't. Other people are way better. It's like it's above my pay grade. There's way better people who can answer that question for you. But I can think of some arrows to present or what have you. But you should be checking out, like, I think because Luke Ford stream has like a really interesting smattering of Jewish people. Some like himself who are Orthodox, some are just more their mom's Jewish, some who maybe are closely related to someone Jewish. That's probably a good, interesting place to engage the question right now. Frame games. So yeah, I'll just leave this for you, Mel. Frame games. I don't know how much. I mean, I've only listened to a few of his videos. Halsey talks about being Jewish more in the context of like him having all these like crazy arguments with alt-righters. But anyway, so that's just three offhand that I'm just thinking of. He's here on. He actually, I think he stopped in. I can't spell Babylonian right now. Oh my god. Let's see if will Google tell me how to spell it. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, he was on Luke 4 tonight. And like he's someone else. He's someone else I really like. Like just listen to him talk and describe his own Jewish experience growing up in a more secular household. He was saying that again tonight. And how he's become more, like I would say, I think he's Orthodox or traditional, but like he's just his own description of Jewish identity. Like I'm just often thinking of people who I think offer something about Jewish identity. Say, oh, and don't forget Savage Hippie. Again, like so, all two I just listed Edwin and David at Savage Hippie. Because they rock. So all those little names, like these are just people you'll get like a smattering of like a couple different aspects of Jewish identity that I think are, cool and have something to offer. Oh yeah, sorry, the JQ. That's what you said previously. Sorry. Yeah. Again, I could reflect on that and have something to share to offer from New York. I'm gonna go back again. New York is fun. Go to the steakhouse, go over to Lower East Side. Maybe I'll do the Tenement Museum tour next time. It's right across from like this beer place, like this kind of like beer bar restaurant thing. And I just went there and I didn't do the Tenement tour. I mean, I've never been south of what is it? Not Houston. What's that street? Because I didn't go to Chinatown. I've never been to Wall Street or where you get to the ferry to do the Statue of Liberty tour. So that's as far south as I've been on the tip of Manhattan before. I want to make up for that. But anyway, so I think I've said quite a bit, and it's probably very close to an hour, if not a little longer. So again, the goal for the next few days is I got a lot of planning to do. Tonight, like I got to the mall, got my things ready for the trip. Maybe I'll do like another little quick hit unless something crazy happens. I just think the goal for next few days is just to maybe get in other people's streams and just comment and have fun and chit chat, make some like videos of my own just to kind of like hone out, to bang out a few topics I want to talk about. And obviously, if I go live, I'll go live. Like right now, like I just love chatting and being up in the scene, and I kind of. Oh no! And tomorrow I have like some birthday dinner plans. Not my birthday, but someone else's. And I think I should go pick out some swimsuits to take for this weekend, going to next week for my trip. So yeah, I think I may go live if I like feel like there's something lively to say. Otherwise, I'll just shoot and you'll have something every day. Just some nice, cool videos on my pods. And so I think if that's it, which I think it is because it's quite late, I want to leave it here. This was fun to finally dig into. Again, Aryan Skynet. It's a WordPress blog. So this is a book that you can buy and purchase. Protocols of the Elders of Xanac. Psychological Warfare and Filth at the Movies. And this is the same person that just wrote the article that we read, which I've already closed. Did I close it? Well, I already had it up earlier stream. You can easily find or see it again. So he also wrote this great article about the movie Candyman. So you can come back here and check out this lovely blog that's been. It's a thing. I think the biggest strength for me is very cultural. So yeah, there's like questions about race, about this, about that. But I think the more the far all dissident right scenes I've been more into or like really receptive to, the ones that are talking about film and about music and about culture, and not just not that's not important, like demographics, white genocide, the anti-white question, etc. and so forth. These folks are like, I mean, Edwin was talking about, like, I think he reviewed like a Melvins album. I mean, he likes the Melvins. It's funnily enough, like Greg Gutfeld likes the Melvins too, I believe. Anyway, so again, Aryan Skynet, great resource. Hipster Racist, another WordPress.com website. He's one left that really interesting, covers all the bases. Comment about race mixing, miscegenation, the ethno state, etc. So I'm gonna close that. I can close that too. Oh, I mean, close her so fast with Oral's daughter. I'll have to come back for that later. Yeah, you too. Yeah, I will be shooting it. I said shooting it up. I'll be shooting it up. No, I'll be making some other cool things. So, hopefully some of you are lingering. Maybe I'll see a couple of other like the streams around here. Maybe it's on the Black women's side. Maybe it's on the more white alt-right side. Who knows where you'll find me just floating around and looking to converse next few days. Maybe that'll just be my goal, just to like talk with people and share some links, share some info, blah blah blah. So anyway, I think that swirling thing is gonna be enough. Ooh, maybe I'll rewatch. I think I finished the end of this. I'm gonna finish this bullshit. Yvette Carnell, like, it's a perfect hate watch material. I was getting really drugged out at work, and I was like, let me hate watch this. So I think I'm gonna go do that, do a little hate watching, and get some sleep. So I'll be back later. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit a thumbs up. I'm gonna do like other chicks I see doing. I see 3 viewers watching, so there should be like 3 upvotes, maybe even 4, because I know someone else was here and then they were gone. Which I do. I bounce around sometimes during streams too. But anyway, someone hit the like button, please. Yo, thank you for listening. Have a good night. Cheers.